Hello, everyone, and welcome to your lesson number 2 in your professional diploma in digital marketing. This lesson is all about targeting your buyer. If you missed the first lesson, my name is William Eames. I am the Director of Education here in Shaw Academy, just overseeing the lessons to ensure that the highest quality content is delivered to you. Just want to remind you that you can interact in the webinars by chatting with Morpheus. You'll find your chat option in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Please remember to rate the responses so that we can continue to improve the quality of the responses you are getting. And of course, you can also chat with your peers as well. At the end of the lesson, please help us to improve the quality of these lessons for you by rating the lesson on a scale of 1 to 10, and we can use this information then to ensure that you are getting the best possible experience. If you happen to miss lesson 1, don't panic at all. You can catch up on your lessons in your student login area on shawacademy.com. Simply visit shawacademy.com/login and you'll be able to find all of the lessons as well as lots of extra content in your student login area. I'll hand you over to Caitlin. Enjoy lesson number 2.
Hello and welcome everybody to your lesson 2 of module 1 of your professional diploma in digital marketing. This is Caitlin, your digital marketing educator here at Shaw Academy. I hope everybody is doing very well today. So let us get cracking. But before we get started, I just want to do a really quick little recap on the last lesson, just to refresh your memories. So first things first, we had a look at the full course agenda and where you are headed from here. We looked through and discussed WHCP and what it stood for and why this module is based on it. The 4 Ps, which were product, price, place, and promotion. Very well done to those of you who have typed it in. Then we looked at Shaw Academy as the case study for how digital marketing can work in business. And we showed you the success that we had and continue to have, and we're going to show you how to do the same. We also had our summary to tie things up. I gave you a little bit of career guidance, and we had our FAQ as well. So hang on for that career guidance at the end of the lesson today as well. It's going to be pretty useful, I'd say. So today's lesson, we are going to have a look at who your buyer is, okay? We're going to show you how to profile your customer, and we're going to discuss customer personas in a bit more depth, okay? I'm also going to give you a brief overview of unit economics, and then we'll have our summary, our career guidance, and FAQ as well. There we go. So to get us kicking, a little bit of general knowledge. According to a study done by Hip2Be, behaviorally targeted ads are twice as effective as non-targeted ads. So when we talk about targeting, we're talking about using your customer persona in order to direct your ads to the right people. So they're twice as effective. To begin, I want to ask you a question, and you can type it into your chat box. I would like to know who your buyer is. The vast majority of you here would be business owners or would be working to target certain audiences. So I would love to know who your buyer is, or really just get you thinking about who your buyer is. So everyone, we need to have a clear picture of who our customer is, of who our buyer is. It needs to be clear in our minds. And it's got to be a really solid idea, and it's got to be based on research, and most importantly, it's got to be based on data. You guys are very much our customers. So let's use that as an example. The sort of person that does digital marketing is someone who would be in sales, maybe, would be a marketer, anyone online with the interest in selling stuff, you know, people wanting to start a new business, anyone that's a business owner or works in the business world would want to know about digital marketing. Okay, so once you've got a general idea of who you are selling to, you need to understand exactly who they are. Guys, the more information that you've got, the better. Okay, it can be a simple assumption, as I said in the last lesson, just to begin with. And once you have more information, once you've got that data, you're then going to be able to build a profile based on science. Okay, so we break it down into demographics. So for this lesson, I'm going to have a look at country, age, and gender. Okay, so we're talking about a male or female buyer. Your gender would have a part to play with that, okay? It's one of our most basic methods of segmentation. With these three elements, you can now really start to paint a picture to start with. You know, you don't need lots of information. You just need a general idea. But obviously, as I said before, the more information you have, the better. And the more targeted your advertising will be. You know, it could be that you collect your data and realize after developing this idea of who your buyer is, once you collect your data, you realize that you've got a big number of customers coming from one specific area. Say they come from the United States, you know, then you'd really want to focus your digital marketing efforts on an American-based audience, right? They're potential buyers, so there's no reason for us to focus on anyone else, really, you know? Our data, our analytics, is going to start to paint that picture of who our customer is. So with a product like the digital marketing course, we've got a really wide audience. It's a truly global product with a hugely wide appeal. That's your markets like the US, the UK, South Africa, India. They're the growing markets, okay? That is where the majority of our customers come from. But it's not to say that they don't come from everywhere else as well. We know this. We know where our customers come from because our data tells us that that is the case. You know, you need to understand who your buyer is. So is it in your local area? In which case you would use targeted advertising, or are they more global? I want you to think to yourself, do you actually know where your customers are from? It's totally fine if you don't know where your audience is yet. If you're a new starter, as I said, you can develop this concept, your targeted market, based on who you think your audience is to begin with, and then fill in the blanks once you get that information. So to give you guys a bit of an example for the digital marketing course, we know that our buyers, which would include some of you guys, are between the ages of 20 all the way up to 65, and they're split almost equally between male and female. It's a nice specific audience, don't you think? So how exactly do we know this sort of thing? What we did is we put out advertising, or you know, we put posts up on our Facebook incentivizing our audience and their friends to sign up with us, and then they clicked the ad or clicked the post where we asked for their information, and students would then sign up for a 30-day trial. Okay, then they would give us the information the same way that you all have. So then once we've got that information, we can then start to track it. Okay, we can track which customers saw our ads versus which ones clicked them, how old they were, and so on. We can gather that information. Do you see how that works? You put out a post, you generate interest, create engagement, and gather information from what that audience gives you. And then you can use that information, use that data to not just guess, but to put plans in place. Here's an example of a post that we at Shaw Academy put out. It has been boosted, and you can see that it's got a link to the digital marketing course there and a couple of hashtags, and you can see how many people have seen it. Okay, so moving on to another product of ours. We touched on this briefly in the last class, but the audience for our financial trading course is a lot more narrow than the audience for our digital marketing course, okay? It actually usually consists of 40-plus-year-old men with master's level education. Okay, so it is a far more narrow and far more competitive market. We need to know what the customer is about. You know, what do they do? How old are they? So we need to think about what people who are interested in financial trading would be interested in. Where would they spend their time? I would probably assume that Bloomberg is a fair assumption on that one. So in that case, do we go to Bloomberg? Do we advertise there? Do we create the same kind of content that Bloomberg creates? You know, there's a lot of things to question here, but we do start to build the picture up of exactly who that persona is and exactly who our customer is and an idea of how best to connect with them. So there you go. There's a little bit of a visual of who we're talking to for our financial trading course in general. Now, it's not everybody. Okay, so that then leads us on to the persona. The personality, guys, this is the character of who that customer is. I want you to think about what it means when we say customer persona. We're talking about their characteristics, their habits, their personalities, their interests. What we want to do as digital marketers is we want to really start to build a profile of who that customer is. Guys, we really want to start to spend time painting a bigger picture in our minds and visually and with text exactly who our customer is, okay? What I mean by that is we want to know what they like to do. So if you're thinking about who your customer is, it's kind of like if I asked you about your friends and who they are. You know, if you were to tell me about one of them, I'd ask, you know, what do they look like? Who are they? What do they like to do? What is their routine like? We want to think that kind of way. Okay, what gets them out of bed in the morning? What really motivates them? What do they enjoy? You know, what really drives them in their lives? This is not something that's ever really a finished process, everybody. There are constant changes. We build on this all the time. As our market changes or matures, so do our personas, okay? Never see this as a finished product. Big businesses set aside enormous budgets doing customer research like this, you know, building personas and that sort of thing. So this isn't just something that I really wanted to chat about, even though it is something I really wanted to chat about. It is really important stuff, okay? It is very real and very, very profitable when we do it right. Okay, so now, a little bit of fun here. Let us imagine, okay? Let's imagine that we're all digital marketers. We're all professionals. Put your digital marketing hat on, okay? You're on this course and majority of you guys are going to finish this course and get your qualification in digital marketing, and we're all part of a consultancy and we work together, okay? We go into a company and they want us to develop a digital strategy for them. And the very first thing that we say is we want to build up a persona of your buyer. So tell me who your buyer is. Who is your customer? And they then say to us, well, people who like vegan food, you know, healthy people who like vegan food. What exactly does that tell you if I tell you that? You know, people who like vegan food. It doesn't really tell us a lot, right? We haven't really got a clear idea. It's pretty narrow. It's hard to think of a strategy around these people. So, but what then if I said to you, well, actually, the buyer is the passionate vegan fitness promoter. Does that now, you know, even with a small bit of language, does it start to paint a bigger picture of who your customer is? You feel like you know that person a little bit better, right? It's a little bit better. So, well, from here, we can build on who is this passionate vegan fitness promoter. You know, what do they do? Are they gym going? Promoter, the word promoter looks to me like they're active on social media. Maybe they're an influencer. You know, they love eating healthily. They love talking about eating healthily. You know, maybe they're a brand promoter. Social media would maybe be a good place to speak to these guys, right? Or what about then your early tech adopter? Or your DIY mom? Or the retired handyman, as an example. Guys, see, just a few little words gives us a really powerful image, you know? It gives us a really good idea of the type of person this customer is. I mean, even with this really simplified heading of the general type of person you're talking to, you've got lots more info than just saying that these people consume a certain product. Okay, so from there, you start to build an idea of who these customers are, right? So this is your passionate vegan fitness promoter, your early tech adopter, your DIY mom, or your very early retired handyman. So you really start to get a really good visual of who your audience is. And then you can ask, where do these people spend their time online? So if you take the passionate vegan fitness promoter, it's a mouthful, you might say, well, what kind of age group does this person fit into? You know, what kind of age are we talking about? Most likely, well, I mean, you might find some outliers, but okay, they're probably not going to be 70 years old in general, okay? But I would say, you know, I mean, you'd have to back it up with data, but they'd probably be part of a younger demographic. You'd have to ask, are they single? Are they married? You really need to go and find that stuff out. You know, do some research, put out some adverts, and then record that data. You also want to ask, what are their values? What is important to them? Okay? I mean, they're probably, in terms of lifestyle, probably living a healthy lifestyle, possibly work in the health industry. You know, you want to find out what motivates them as well. They want to be healthy. They want to have peace of mind. They meditate. They're probably not the kind of person who's going to go out on a mad drinking binge and then eat a healthy salad and detox over the weekend, okay? There's probably a lot of balance going on there. They're motivated to exercise, to take care of their bodies. Maybe this particular woman does yoga and she eats salads out of jars and that kind of thing. It's a lifestyle thing for them, probably. Okay, so what sort of industry as well? What industry are they working in? What do you reckon? You know, looking at her, I think maybe she's a nutritionist or a yoga instructor. You know, maybe she works in a gym. She's a Pilates instructor, maybe. You then have this really clear visual that starts to form quite nicely. You know, you've got your 20 to 30-year-old female. Maybe she's recently engaged. She might be single. Marital status is not the main thing, but it does help you to position in your mind how to speak to them. But this data helps, okay? And then you can start talking to that particular person or that group as if it was a particular person. What I'm really trying to get at here is that you need to act like your customer, okay? You need to think like them. So try to go to websites that they would go to. You know, that includes your competitors. You can get a huge amount of information from looking at your competition. I mean, you could even make purchases from your competition. You know, see what their process is about. Chat online about the product. Get obsessed about your product, guys. It's kind of method acting, okay? Become your customer and learn what they need and learn what problems they have and learn how you can fix them. So I've got another question I want to put to you. Which is more important to us? Is it your lead or your buyer? Simply put, everybody, your buyer is the one that pays the bills, okay? Not all of your leads are buyers. Your leads are your potential buyers, okay? But your buyers were all, at one point, leads. Ultimately, we need buyers, okay? Buyers is what allows me to sit here and record this awesome webinar for people all over the world through education online. And you guys to be able to tune in and learn. So it's not leads, okay? They are important, but ultimately we need buyers. So to simplify that a little bit for everybody, so that it's clear, okay? You have your lead flow, right? Your contacts, all of the individuals are coming here. Your leads are coming in from Google Ads and partnerships that you've created and social media campaigns and blogging, you know, all other areas, okay? And all of these potential buyers, all of these leads here are coming into your sales funnel here, okay? This guy, this big guy. And you then have your process where you nurture them and ease them through the funnel, and they come on down here. And out of that comes a smaller amount of buyers, okay? So it is important to focus on your potential buyers as opposed to your leads. Focusing on your leads is only going to get you so far. So to wrap that bit up, okay, it is very important to know who your buyer is and who your buyer is versus who your lead is, and to focus on that buyer, okay? Look at their demographics, okay? So country, age, and gender to begin with. Hopefully everybody's with me to this point. If you're not, drop us an email, okay? So moving on to collecting data and understanding the buyer, okay? So yes, it's important for us to know who our buyer is, but how do we find that out? Okay, well, luckily, I've put a little bit together. So let's have a look here as an example, right? If we have 100 people signing up for a trial, okay, so it's a free trial or a 30-day trial, whatever it is, okay, and 30% of them are male, so 30 of them are men, and 70% are female, 70 of them are women. That makes up the 100, right? This is actually an advert that we ran for a child nutrition course that we have when it was first launched. And here are the results that we got from that, okay? We saw from those who registered, of those 70% females, half of them were over 35 years old. So that means that 35% of our entire audience were over 35 years old, okay? Of the same segment, 95% were professionals, so 95% professional women, okay? And 70% of that 70% segment were European, they were from Europe. So with that information in mind, who do you think converted from leads to buyers on that child nutrition course? You know, into paying customers? Well, it ended up being 50% female and only 2% of the 30% men, okay? So we got to see that women were really the majority of our buyers for that course. You know, that they were professionals of a certain age, that they were European. So we built a bit of a picture of who we were targeting for that specific course, and we kind of came up with a personality, okay? We got a buyer persona based on the analytics that we gathered from an ad campaign that we ran. And, you know, we ascertained who to target moving forward for that course based on who had bought the course before. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't, again, email us. But hopefully you can see the process that we went through to get to this point. And you can understand now who our buyers are and how you can replicate the same thing. So to conclude all of that, we need to get to know who our customer is. We need to do what we got to do, you know, act like our customers, read forms online, blogs, get into their shoes, get into their heads. Invest a really good bit of your time in finding out who that customer is. It is the most important point to start at. Secondly, interact. Go and give them the content that they want. If you're talking to the young female fitness promoter, as an example, think about them, okay? What do they want? What are they interested in? What motivates them? Find all of that stuff out, and then it's really simple. Then just give them what they want. Everything is important. Every piece of information, every post, every like, every share, every single little breadcrumb is important. I'd suggest having a conversation. Guys, this is the digital age. It is not one-sided anymore. So talk to your customers and find out more about what they want and really engage them and appeal to what they want. Make it a two-way conversation, you know, no staying silent or alternatively shouting without listening to response. They don't care about your brand, okay? I know that sounds harsh, but they really don't care about your brand or what you do. What they want is for you to have a conversation with them. They want to be heard. Can they interact with you? Can you add value to their lives somehow? Another one is running competitions, okay? This is fun. Have fun with it. Make it exciting and interesting. Alrighty, so after doing all of that research and finding out who your customers are, your market research is going to be a really important factor as well. So understanding your industry is going to teach you about your customer. you need to make a plan about how you are going to carry out market research. Okay, it's all very well and good looking at your customer, but you need to understand the market and the industry that you are functioning within. Okay, you can do your own research out on the streets, online, you know, asking questions. You can have surveys, that kind of thing, but there is a lot of information available online. So here, let's do a quick little practical here. So let's bring up Google. Okay, let's have a look for digital marketing industry reports. Very, very easy to find. Okay, here we go. There's one. Forrester is good. You can find all sorts of free reports, if I might add. Okay, some of them are paid for. So you can see here, this is kind of all free. Statista is a great website. All right, or if you look at Forrester, there will be some paid for articles here where you'd have to see here. It's not available for individual purchases, but there are huge amounts online, okay? So I would highly suggest going out and having a look at what's available to you and what's available for free. The internet is an amazing place, okay? Guys, ultimately, you're going to need to trial and test things in order to find out who your buyer is. So you want to run adverts, set up partnerships, collect data, and learn who your buyers are that way. Okay, when you start to get a picture on who your customer is, then you can drill down into your product and maybe even your lead source. Okay, we will talk about this in the later modules. And when we're talking about trialing and testing, let's have a look at a guy that did it quite well, okay? I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the 4-Hour Workweek. It is a very good book. It is one that was suggested to me by my dad. But basically, Tim Ferriss, who is the guy who wrote the book, didn't quite know what to call his book. So what he did is he ran adverts with 6 different titles for the same book. Okay, he was advertising the book with 6 different names. And it was basically so that he could understand with information, with data, what the customer preferred, even down to the book title. So the winner was the 4-Hour Workweek, but how did he get to it? Right? What he did is he ran Google AdWords, okay, those different ads, and he used a setting. He ran 65 different ads in total, okay, in an even rotation, okay? It's a tool called Rotate Indefinitely that Google Ads offers, okay? So the name 4-Hour Workweek got the most clicks by far, and it was what became the title of his book. So we use this kind of testing. It's called A/B testing. Okay, we at Shaw Academy, we actually use it for the titles of our ads and the names of our courses. Okay, so we would have different blurbs like progress in 4 weeks or 12 weeks or 16 weeks in digital marketing, be proficient, become a digital marketer, and the decision of what ads to run is made based on the amount of click-throughs that we get. And all of this information can really tell us what our customer wants. It's really, really interesting. So sometimes you will come up with a couple of different well-performing ads, and it's hard to say which one to go with. So here's a little system, okay, that you could use to help you to decide who your customer is. Kind of like building up a persona or two with the stats that you have available to you. So this is not a mathematical equation, okay? We just use the numbers here in order to, they're the higher percentages of the numbers that your advertising and your sales create, okay? It's really simple to lay out on an Excel spreadsheet as well. So let's say, okay, you've sold a product where 15% of your buyers were from the UK and 15% were 50 years old and 15% were male, okay? As I said, it's not a mathematical equation, but you're taking country, gender, and age, okay? You're segmenting by those 3, and you are coming up with a number where you add the numbers for each percentage, okay? So for this one, as an example, it makes up 45, and that is just a ranking. It's a highest number ranking system, okay? Let's say the other buyer group is Their demographics, again, your country is 1% Spain, 15% are 50 years old, and 15% are male as well. Okay, that would give you a score of 31, okay, which means that you would probably need to prioritize the 50-year-old males in the UK over the 50-year-old males in Spain, just because it's a bigger market percentage. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. It's just a quick way of figuring out who to target. Another question I want you to contemplate here is, who needs your product or service? Okay, ask yourself that. Let's, as an example, who needs digital marketing? Who needs digital marketing? In my mind's eye, everybody can benefit from digital marketing, right? So that doesn't help me with a demographic. But we're teaching a skill that empowers people to generate larger amounts of revenue online. Guys, what I want you to think about is, who needs your product or service? Basically, what problem can you solve for them? Another suggestion that I want to make is that you use the network that you've already got, okay, for looking for people to advertise to and for your buyer personas. You most likely have a really big network on LinkedIn or other social platforms, or even following your blog. I mean, your friends and professionals and all of that. So you can do research through those groups. Most people are going to want to help people to be successful, so use your resources. Another way to figure out who your buyer is, ask your audience what they want. Pretty simple. So carry out reviews. You can join the conversation, be part of it, generate conversation even, you know, and then use it to your advantage. Why not create a forum that you can even host on your website, okay? You can also send them an email or an in-mail if they're on LinkedIn, or ask your audience on social media. You're going to get information from all of these. The next thing I want to touch on briefly is content, okay? So content is really, really important in finding out what your audience wants, okay, and how to serve them. So the better you know who your customer is, the better you can create content to suit that customer and add value to their experience, and the more likely they are to make a purchase, okay? The trick is getting the correct content in front of your customers. So what are your customers' problems and how can you relieve them? You can also really effectively use what is trending to better tap in, okay? A really good way of finding out what is trending rather than kind of guessing is using Google Trends. I'm not sure if anyone has used it before. I'm just going to show it to you briefly. Google Trends is a really cool product because it tells you what kind of products are trending. Okay, so let's look for chocolate cake, just as an example. Okay, so that's a search term. How many people are searching for this term? You can see it's kind of gone up, went up in December. I assume it's because of Christmas. Oh, it went down a little bit actually for Christmas. And then up again, okay? You can also have a look at what the history is over all time, okay? And in all sorts of regions. So you can see that it peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs, but it's getting steadily more and more popular. Excellent, okay? So let's say that it is a viral topic at the moment, or it's a really trending topic at the moment. When you are on Google Trends, so I know this isn't in date, but you can go just to the front page and choose what category you're looking for, okay? Or you can choose what country. Choosing what country is a really good idea because it shows you what is trending in that particular country. So you can appeal to that demographic. Okay, so as an example, I know chocolate cake isn't here, but say chocolate cake was on this list. Okay, so what we would do, here's more theoretical situations for you. So chocolate cake is trending, and I'm a shop owner and I sell groceries, but I don't sell chocolate cake, right? Keep that in mind. I don't sell it. So I need to create some content for my social channel or my blog because my sales are kind of going down a little bit and I need to generate revenue. So I go and have a look on Google Trends at what's trending, and I find that, cool, chocolate cake's trending. But I don't sell those. That's a pity, you know. Isn't milk trending? Can't milk trend? But some really cool digital marketing students come in straight out of a digital marketing webinar, if I might say. And they walk into the shop and they're like, hey, you don't sell chocolate cake, but you do sell every ingredient that goes into a chocolate cake. Interesting. So I'm a little bit slow, right? And I'm like, okay, that's right, I guess. So they shake their heads and they look at me and they suggest that I put up a nice little video of a recipe. Have you guys seen a group called Tasty on Facebook? It's a page on Facebook. It's a really cool little company that do short videos of making certain dishes, okay? They are very, very popular. You can see there, just with this share a couple years ago, 8.2 million views. I mean, it's crazy, okay? It's just a chocolate cake with red wine. So what I do is I listen to this student and I'm like, cool, okay, low, like there's not a lot of production cost here. So I produce this video and I put it onto all of my channels. I put it on my Facebook channel, I put it on my website, other social channels. So I share this, and then in the comments or on my website, I direct people to a recipe and stick a little buy now sticker on it that redirects to my website and allows people to buy the products from my store, buy all of the ingredients and have them delivered. Okay, so now people are searching chocolate cake, which is very trendy, and I've used it pretty wisely. And what's happened is I've piggybacked on the search term that is trending, okay? And I've driven potential customers to that video. And it's of real value because it teaches them how to make something. It makes it easy for them to buy your products and make their cake. They can share images or videos of their cake. The world is balanced once more. And you've generated some revenue through digital marketing, which isn't too bad at all. Think about if something like this, something simple like this, could work for your company. So now we've got everybody happy, we've created content, it's all good. We want to have a look at how everybody else in our industry is doing too. So you can do a little bit of a competitor analysis, and this is a lot easier to do than it sounds. You want to take a look at the competition you can get a lot of information from them, right? You can find out what they're doing and how you can do it better. Do not ignore your competition. I know the first instinct is to shut them out and try and do better. Don't ignore them, okay? But don't become obsessed with them either. Ultimately, you just want to find out who's who out there and who's doing what and what they're up to. There's a really cool website called Owler that helps you to do that. Helps you to snoop, okay? So owler.com, and you can search any company. So let's have a look at Nike. So there's one. There's a whole bunch of different ones, but let's look at the company profile. This will show you listed companies. Now, it won't list every single company out there. I think companies do have to put themselves onto it, but it is worthwhile having a look, even if, let's say you're in the sports industry and you're selling clothing and you would never compare yourself to Nike, but you would still take advice from what they do, okay? So have a look at what they're doing. Look into who their competition is, who their leadership is, how many employees they've got. That's a heckload. And the revenue they're turning over. You know, look at how they're doing it. They got funded. And how you can do it better, basically. Oh, they were acquired, or they acquired companies. You know, you can see who the CEO is. And then a whole bunch of articles about the company as well. Okay, you can also have a look at their social stats. You can see how their stats have grown as the company has grown through time. And you can have a look at older versions of their websites as well. How cool is that? I do think that you do have to upload it yourself. But looking at a smaller company, let's look at an English company that is, we actually call it Pennies in Ireland. So here we go, approval rating 70, big turnover. These are kind of his big competitors, okay, or the company's big competitors. Same thing, you can see revenue shot up, who they acquired and for how much. news. There we go. And you can see they're not active at all on social media, or on Twitter rather, but Facebook is their forte. And their old website history. It's really, really cool, as well as HQ, kind of the details. So guys, go and have a play around. Find out what industry you're working in, what kind of size company you're looking for, and compare yourself against them. Critically assess the situation around you. Now, the results that you get, they're not set in stone, but they definitely do give you a good overview of certain companies or industries and their competition. You get the idea. So do some research on your competitors. Guys, it's one of very many tools that we're going to discuss and go throughout the 4 modules that you will be able to use yourself. Okay? It's what will give you a better understanding of who's out there, what they're doing, and how you can do it better. And that is our competitor analysis. Phew, okay, so that is us for today's lesson. So in conclusion, know your numbers in a precise way. Hopefully you can see from all of the stats that you draw, you'll really be able to understand who your customer is in a really precise way, okay? Know exactly who that customer is. Not just anyone who's going to buy from you, but get a real visual of their personalities. You know, when I worked as a copywriter, we used to create images, like take photos of people and put them up on our desks to know who we were directing our writing to. You know, you're talking to real people here, okay? So think of that, and think of your personas and continually building those up. They are so important. As well, test and measure absolutely everything. This is how we get the best levels of interaction and effectively the highest return on our investments, on our efforts. So, alright guys, so in summary, today we had a look at who your buyer is. We looked at how to profile your customer and what a customer persona really is. Really keep up the hard work. Very proud of you so far. And please remember, we are here to help you, so contact us anytime. In the next lesson, we're going to be looking at PPC and SEO. So with PPC, we're going to be jargon busting, because I don't like terminology that most people can't understand. We're going to be talking risks and Google AdWords, okay, and how to set up PPC campaigns. We're also going to be looking at SEO versus SEM, okay, and a keyword strategy guideline, okay? Please do not be freaked out by these terms. I know that they sound complicated. They really aren't. Hopefully you enjoy this as much as I will. And guys, we will also have a look at our summary and FAQ. But for today, remember those challenges. I have created another one. I want to know who your customer is, okay? So I want you to draw up, get a picture, write down some notes, something like that, post it to our Show Academy Facebook and use that hashtag, and you're going to become the baddest. This is skills in action. So I want to know who you are selling to and what you are selling them. So please do share that on our Facebook page. Guys, just a little bit more career guidance as well. If you didn't have an idea already about what the industry opportunities are when it comes to marketing online, okay? So web content management is highly lucrative and it is quite specialized. So if you've got an eye for that kind of thing, definitely go for it. Then we've got our marketing executive, which is the straightforward digital marketer, okay? Creative director, which is pretty schmancy. And works its way into a variety of different industries. You can also, if you've got a passion for social media, it is a huge industry that's up and coming. So I would have a look into that. When we talk about content marketing, I want to talk to you guys about advertising copywriting, because it is something that I did and I loved. If you've got more of an eye for the stats than you've got for the strategy, that's okay. There's market research. Okay, that's a big part of marketing. Then you could always become a strategist in social media, which is looking at the high level social media strategies and how people manage their pages, how they interact, what their voice is, all that cool stuff, as well as the statistics and how better to advertise on social media. Or you could be an account manager for an advertising agency. These are only a few options, guys. There are so many. So if you have any questions or are looking to move into the field, which I hope you are, drop us a line and we are always happy to help. Okay, cool. So now is time for our FAQ. So I've got a few more questions that students ask frequently throughout the lessons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through those with you again. Facebook or Google advertising, which one is better? So, Facebook is a social media platform, while Google is a search engine, okay? Google is much bigger. Advertising on either of them is done with different approaches, and they will have different results, okay? Usually on Google, your advertising is done to show valuable and relevant content to users who search for certain terms or keywords, or to simply direct people to websites. Okay, there are also image-based adverts on Google. Facebook advertising is a little bit different. It can do the same thing, but the ads are limited to being shown on Facebook. Okay, we do talk about that a little bit more in lesson 5 though. Next question, how many buyer personas can you have? Okay, you can have as many buyer personas as you want, but there are stats that show that between 3 and 4 cover 90% of your purchases by your buyers. 3 to 4 buyer personas, okay? I would suggest starting off with one if this is new to you. Start off with one persona, and if you're finding that a lot of your audience isn't fitting, or a good chunk of your audience isn't fitting into that one persona, branch out and create them as they are necessary, but don't overdo it. You cannot be too individualistic. It just simply takes too much time and would be too expensive. What if you have a lot of different products? What do you do about a persona? Okay, it is best to start off with just one persona. So pick the highest percentages. Remember I showed you that quick little exercise that you can do by adding the percentages to each other. So pick the highest percentages of gender, location, and age, and maybe behavior as well, and begin with one persona. So build that one and use it for your marketing efforts, and then slowly build up from that to generally cover all sorts of types of customer types, okay? Are demographics the only way to create a profile? No, demographics is not the only way to segment your audience, okay? It's the most frequently and most basic way of doing so, but you can segment. It is called market segmentation in traditional terms, but you can use demographic segmentation as we did, which is age, gender, location, education, job type, family size, nationality, and all of that. Your psychographic, okay, includes segmenting by opinions and activities. You know, opinions may be political stance, their values and their interests. Then you've got behavioral segmentation, which is all about customers' behavior towards the product, okay? That is brand awareness, it's usage rate, so you would advertise differently to one person who uses your product frequently versus one who uses it rarely. There's also, that includes segmenting them by the benefits that they seek and their propensity to buy as well. And finally, there is geographic segmentation, which talks about population density, where they are, the climate they live in, and the region that they live in as well. All right, guys, so that is it for this lesson. Hopefully you have enjoyed yourselves. I know I have. I know I keep saying that too. But have a fabulous day wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.
Hi everyone, I hope you all enjoyed that lesson. Just wanted to remind you quickly that you will get a bonus video for every lesson that you attend. You will find these in your student login area on shawacademy.com. These are great little videos just to add to the content that we cover throughout the lessons. Remember, if you go into your login area, there's a load of other stuff there to check out. Your weekly assignment is going to be posted up now at the end of the week. Lots of quizzes there and other things to keep keep you entertained and to keep you learning throughout the course. So thank you so much for joining us for these first 2 lessons this week. Do keep it up, do keep attending the lessons. We'll be back with lesson number 3. So until then, bye bye.